I want to help the government today. I really do. Schedule 21 in this bill needs to be revised. A dear friend of mine, Marcel Belfay from Ottawa, is someone who home ownership became a nightmare for him and his wife, Julie. And he said to me once that sometimes removing red tape leads to yellow tape, more yellow tape. And sometimes when we talk about what something is as red tape, we're actually wrong. We may be mislabeling the tape color. And so what I'd like to talk about is how Schedule 21 will actually reduce consumer protection, and it does the exact opposite of what it intends to do. I'm not going to skewer the government because I believe that this is simply an error, and I am hoping that the minister, the ministry, and that they will revisit this because it is going to lead to unintended consequences. As I've heard some of the submissions and the speeches, they said that this will actually harm illegal builders. The only person it's going to harm are the actual consumers that purchase from them. So let me begin. So the government says they want to reduce the administrative burden on individuals, but how does the new requirement that home buyers need to register their purchase with Tarion or potentially lose out on deposit protection make life easier for them or actually enhance their protection? It doesn't. In an already complicated system that's hard to navigate, instead of requiring new home buyers to have their deposits placed in a trust like it is for condo buyers, this government is adding more red tape and ultimately headaches, putting up more barriers to home ownership at the expense of buyers and not on the developers or regulators. As Bob Aaron, real estate lawyer and former member of Tarion's board of directors, said in the Star last week, and I quote, "The proposal, which is Schedule 21, is fatally flawed and a breach of the regulator's obligation to protect the public. Consumers should not be forced to become the police for the industry regulators and should not be penalized for failing to register their agreements," and I agree. This government also talked about fast-tracking and easing credentials recognition for building officials who inspect our homes to make sure they are safe and built to code. But this is a clear example of how reducing red tape can result in more yellow caution tape, because, of course, you'd expect from inspectors that are coming out to inspect a home that's being built to have the highest level of credentials. But this is actually moving us towards the opposite. When corners are cut, real families are impacted. And of course, we've all heard horror stories about homes filled with mold, recurrent flooding, and roofs being caved in, and we're talking about newly purchased homes. As consumer protection advocate Barbara Kaptein puts it, and I quote, "To require new freehold home buyers to register their sales contracts with Tarion or face a penalty is shifting the problem of rogue builders from Tarion and HCRA to the consumer," end quote. It is exactly doing this. Speaker, shifting responsibility onto the public doesn't solve the root of the problem: bad builders. It's not the public's job to stop illegal building and illegal deposit-taking fraud and scams. That's the role of regulators, Tarion and the HCRA. It's never been, in many cases, a worse time to buy a new home when you see the protections being eroded from home purchasers. And again, as home prices approach and are now averaging $1 million, imagine what happens when you purchase a home and it's not in good shape. The HCRA's builder directory is, as many critics say, a glorified phone book. You can find out about a builder's track record, more about that. So you can find out more about a builder's track record than you will ever find on your regulator's builder directory by simply going in the media. But when you actually go to this book that's supposed to give the consumers the protection they need, there are holes in information that put consumers at risk. There are countless articles about developers who've gone bankrupt, yet when you look them up, imagine on the builder's directory, builders that failed to build what they had promised have gone bankrupt. You don't even see this in the builder directory in some cases. There's a clean record there. How are we doing the public a service when this exists? And we have the opportunity to change this. Buying a home is the single largest purchase a person will make in their life. All home buyers sign an addendum when buying a new home. This document is complicated and could use revision. One idea is requiring the HCRA builder license to appear on the addendum or a large box on the addendum in bold print, telling purchasers to register with Tarion at the very, very, very least. And we all talk about plain contract, plain language. When the CPA, the Consumer Protection Act, was being reviewed by the government. We ultimately all supported it. But one thing I was calling for was the use of plain language, because people are often left to their own discretion and are very easy to be taken advantage of because of the fact that you've got the fine print and how complicated things continue to get, and it only gets worse. But to assume a new home buyer, imagine, would know now under this new schedule that they would have to register a warranty. And I'm going to read an article by Barbara Kaptein as well that gets into this, and this was an editorial in the newspaper, but I'll get to that. So to assume a new home buyer would know they have to register their purchase to be protected by the law is absurd. We don't think that we need to register somehow to receive rights under any other kind of law in Ontario. Why this? Shouldn't the law be applied equally and fairly to everyone? Speaker, we all know about the precedent-setting $90 payout by Tarion, $90 million payout by Tarion caused by a developer who was selling homes, get this, on land they didn't even own. So a developer goes out there and is selling homes on land they don't even know, and hi, guess what? They went insolvent, it didn't work out, and so of course Tarion, the home warranty provider, had to pay. So this is the climate that home purchasers are buying into right now. This is the significant risk, and by maintaining Schedule 21 as it exists right now, it is going to continue to keep, it's actually going to worsen the situation because you'll be taking away protection from people who buy from illegal builders. So again, earlier this year, the CBC reported that more than 100 people are out tens of thousands of dollars each after the developer of a pre-construction home project in Clearview, Ontario, entered receivership. Court documents show that 117 buyers stand to lose about $4 million in deposits paid to a developer who didn't even put a shovel in the ground. What makes matters worse is that the developer admitted to the CBC that this wasn't the first time they've been selling homes without getting legal approvals. In fact, they admit to doing it for the past 15 to 20 years. This begs the question of how many other builders are taking this calculated risk. Farhan Haq was quoted in the CBC article as a home buyer who said he spent $100,000 since 2022 as a down payment toward a home in the Clearview project. As reported, he says he was shocked to learn that the company he paid a deposit to had gone into receivership under a different name in the past. He said he hoped there would have been better regulatory oversight to protect buyers like him. Speaker, these projects aren't a secret. As Bob Aaron, a real estate lawyer and former member again of Tarion's board of directors, stated, the sale of these homes was not a secret. It was advertised, it was promoted in print, it was promoted online. Why wasn't Tarion protecting the public by putting a stop to marketing homes that didn't have approvals? A builder must be licensed from the HCRA before it can sell a single home in Ontario and must also be approved by Tarion. It's a provincial offence to sell a home without both authorizations. This is the root of the problem. The public expects the regulators to be doing their job and ensuring that developments have been authorized. Why shouldn't they have that expectation? If someone is seeing ads in their newspaper or in billboards for a new development, surely the regulator whose job it is to regulate developments must be aware as well. The government should be going after its own regulator, the HCRA, and asking it, what are they doing to stop and report illegal builders when they see a new billboard go up? And there is a Toronto Sun, I won't have time to read it now, but there is a Toronto Sun editorial on October 22nd, 2024 by Barbara Kaptein, and it's entitled Illegal Building Problematic in Ontario for Decades, and it must be stopped. And ultimately what she is saying is she is pointing out many things, including the issues with Schedule 21. And I've heard from Dr. Karen Somerville and the Consumers CPBH as well. They are all speaking with one voice. Ultimately, if the government maintains Schedule 21 as it is listed right now, why, at the behest of Tarion, who want to protect their reserve fund, if they want to do that, they are going to be harming the people that need the payout the most. We cannot expect consumers to know that they're going to have to register to get the deposit protection ultimately from the regulator, from Tarion. It is not going to happen. They're not going to know this. And what's going to happen is Tarion will save money because the people that have purchased from illegal builders will now be exempt to be protected. It is the worst possible solution. And I don't believe that the government has thought this through. People would be harmed as a result of this. So now, as a result of this, it is shifting the burden from bad builders, people that are breaking laws, onto consumers who will not know about it. And they, Speaker, will be harmed. It could ruin some people financially. It could ruin lives. And why is this happening? Because it is being sold to the government under the guise that it is going to disadvantage illegal builders, bad builders. It is not going to do that. It is going to do the absolute opposite. Bad builders will continue to build badly without licenses, and consumers will continue to be taken advantage of. And again, under laws that we have in Ontario, some may be purchasing from builders who don't even own the land that they're selling off. So I'm asking this government, on behalf of Ontarians, future home purchasers, the incredible advocates that are volunteering to put in their time to protect people, reverse course on this schedule, get back to the drawing board. This is not going to help consumers. I've spent the time that I've had with regards to this bill in sounding the alarm on a schedule that's within it. I appreciate that a lot of thought has gone into this. A lot is going to be changed. I mean, I think that this bill has 27 schedules. It's a lot of pages and a lot of changes that are going to be made. But I'd like to continue to focus on the fact that what they are doing, notwithstanding everything else in this bill, is going to put more new home purchasers at risk if they continue forward on this plan to exempt some who purchase from an illegal builder from getting protection that they need and deserve from the warranty provider in Ontario.
Further questions? I recognize the member from Hamilton and West Ancaster Dundas.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to return to what you are bringing here to the House. I mean, you have been talking about Tarion. I know you brought up the issue of nosies. You have been working since you've been in this House to protect people that have been unprotected. And I honestly have to tell you that until I listened to you today, I wasn't aware of the issue of illegal builders. I really was not aware of that. And it surprises me that we've been saying to the government, you've rushed this bill, and that you are bringing important information that, if they listen, would protect people. And it even surprises me, you know, that the member from Essex didn't want to ask a question about this, because I can't imagine that this is something that he either knows about or is not concerned with. So can you add some more information, point blank, to explain how illegal builders in this province are going to put at risk the life savings of people in the province of Ontario?
Thank you. I recognize the member from Humber River Black Creek.
Thank you so much. Again, and I'm going to state that I hope that this was not intentional. I do believe that this is an oversight, and they are not seeing the consequences of what may happen. Under this schedule, if an Ontarian purchases a home from an illegal builder, this government is putting the onus on them to reach out to Tarion. And so many of them will not know to do this. And if that project doesn't follow through, they will be on the hook. This is a huge hole in consumer protection. This is a step back. We on this side, the NDP, have worked with the government on consumer protection, and there have been times to their benefit, have listened, and we've seen some improvements. Here, they are taking a major step backwards. Listen to us.
Response?
Listen to the experts. If you want consumer protections, revisit Schedule 21. Pull it.